I had a talk show here for many years. I had a talk show in the States. Same ones with Maury, Maury and Jerry Springer. I was in the same studio. In fact, Jerry and I were friends.
I loved Jerry Springer.
He's mate, really close mate.
Should have known I was gay because all I wanted to do as a kid was go get my Daley beads.
Yeah, I've got some.
You're a lot of people's hero, Daley, so this would be interesting. Who's yours?
Who's yours?
Muhammad Ali, maybe?
Muhammad Ali.
Yeah.
I met Muhammad Ali.
Me too.
Did you?
Yeah.
I met and worked with Nelson Mandela when he just came out of prison. So it was I believe it was 1989. And I spent a fair amount of time with him. And I had my baby and I kept apologising because of breastfeeding and things like that. And he hadn't heard a child cry or giggle or gurgle or touched one for 28 years. Wow. So he used to grab Billy and sing to her. And in the end, he wrote a letter to my daughter, who would have been like 3 months old. And he said, she's both black and white, and she represents people working together, people coming together. And he said, one day you won't be able to tell where people come from.
The house has been hit by an unexpected power outage. All of your appliances are currently unusable. Nothing works.
Cool.
Your task today is to use your celebrity star power to recharge the backup battery and restore full power to the house.
Okay.
Throughout the day, housemates will need to deliver electrifying performances on the star power stage.
I have to sing, I have to do my thing, don't I?
Chesney must now deliver a powerful rendition of your signature hit song, The One and...
Same song?
Yeah, it's always the same song. You guys are going to be fed up with this one.
No, I'm really not.
Mickey is in the diary room.
Hello, Mickey.
Hello.
Mickey, what did you think about Chesney Hawkes' electrifying performance?
Yeah, it was okay.
You're rock and roll, Chesney.
Yeah.
Well, he is, isn't he, really?
I have my moments.
Hey?
I have my moments.
Still having it, mate.
Are you?
I've just finished a major UK tour, and before that I was on tour with James Blunt in Europe.
Oh, right.
Blunty. What would Blunt like? I bet he's nice.
Blunty's the best, man. He's very funny, very smart.
Yeah, I bet he switched on and he cooks clever cookie.
Very. But he's just a good guy.
I bet he loved having you there as well, Ches.
I'd like to think so. Yeah. Called me out on stage a few times.
Really?
Yeah, just like, because we'd be down watching his show, and then he'd kind of do this whole thing. And then don't forget, Chesney was opening up for us, And all
Yeah. Oh, that's so good.
It's lovely.
Yeah,
lovely.
really good.
We're dying to ask you a question, aren't we?
Oh my God, yeah.
What?
Tell me about the Kardashians. I'm obsessed with the Kardashians.
The Kardashians, they were great. They were really great. They came over to the house. The house, we made it a mess, but we always do for videos. That wasn't a rare thing. And Kim was like, oh, where's your broom? I'll sweep this up. And I was like, no, Cinderella, you're not sweeping my floors. Hilarious.
Oh my God.
Imagine Kim watched this and saw me. Sorry to make this about me. And I love Chloe.
Yeah, I love her.
Love Chloe, yeah.
She was in my
dream last night.
She was in your dream?
Yeah, she was in my dream last night.
That's it.
Did she say any of our names? Did she say Jenny yet?
I will next time.
Okay.
I got you.
Just say there's this drag queen that's
that loves
minging
you.
from the UK that loves you.
How good was that film, by the way? That Better Man.
I thought it was brilliant. Loads of people hate it.
Absolute genius.
So did I.
Loved
You're
it.
one of the only people that I know that love it. Me and my
I'm
boyfriend
friends with
love
Robbie.
it. Williams.
Yeah.
I love Robbie Williams.
I take that used to support me back in the day.
Did they?
Yeah. I've been around a long time, So Robbie and I stayed friends. He's so nice. He's a lovely, lovely man, Robbie.
Is he?
Yeah, really, really good guy.
If you ever see him, will you tell him about me?
I will, absolutely. He might know already about you.
Yeah, he's probably
Because he might he'll watch this.
Robbie Williams won't watch this.
Why wouldn't he? If I'm in it, his mate's in it. My dad, back in early 70s, was working on the grounds in the studio. John had just sold the place to Ringo, moved to New York. Dad came to work and there was a piano on the grass outside. Of course. And he was like, weird. And he came and he asked the engineer, what's with the piano? And he said, oh, it was John's and Ringo doesn't want it, so he just put it out there, you know. Dad was like, gone. And he went off and he got a transit van, a bunch of mates, backed it up onto the lawn of Tittenhurst Park, put the piano in the back, drove it home to us, and that's the piano I learned to play on. That's it. That's the story.
Yeah.
All right, never ever have I been rude to a fan.
Have you not?
You can stand up and give us your story time.
You've got to tell your story.
So, back in the day when I was training at Crystal Palace.
Nice.
And I was pole vaulting. So I'm in the middle of my session, got my head on, got my game head on, and this kid comes up to me and he says, oh, can I have your autograph? I said, no, not now, I'm really busy. Please, let me... He said, listen, he said, my school's only here for an hour, I want your autograph. I say, sorry, son, you can't. And the kid walks off. A few years later, I meet him, and he says to me, you told me to f*** off. I said, yeah, I'm not sure I did. It was David Beckham.
What?
That's brilliant.
That's a good one.
Brilliant.
Good.
And he's a lying git.
Do you know who I met at the BAFTAs?
Go on.
Taron Egerton. Me and him all night, and his mum and dad. He was so nice.
Really?
And he went, tell me what you think then. Do you think people who aren't gay shouldn't play gay roles?
And what did you say?
Well, the whole film is about a gay character, or the whole film is about a trans character. I think it should go to it. Someone who's got a lived experience that can relate to it. I understand what acting is. I wouldn't want to see a black role go to a non-black actor. Of course, that's different on another level again. I completely understand it.
But then you could go deeper and say, like, you know, I don't know, a disabled character or something like that.
That should be played by a disabled actor, I think.
So what are you saying? Daniel Day-Lewis shouldn't have done My Left Foot?
No.
Because...
I think it should go to a disabled actor that's good enough to do the role. If you're disabled, you don't want to see someone doing a parody of your disability. Certainly when it comes to a disability, I think it's offensive.
It's an opinion.
I'm not trying to bait you or anything.
No.
I,
It's an opinion.
that's just my, yeah.
Let me ask my friend here, what do you say?
I think that the person who is going to do the job the best is who should get the role, and I think the person who is going to play that role the best is the person who has whatever that may be. I think
Really?
I think there's
You
no
don't think
shame.
you don't think there's any acting involved?
Well, here's what I think. It's authentic. So as much as acting is involved, there's some sort of authenticity that you can't create. You know what I mean?
I never think to myself, why isn't that guy black?
That
Or
is a
why isn't that
privileged
guy
position
white?
for you to be in, don't forget. Because you are fully
seriously
bodied.
would never occur to me.
Yeah. I don't know, it's cool to see how the world has kind of been like, oh, that would be cool if we did that. You know, like, let's give them a shot. Let's let the real people who this is their real life go for it.
And that's the other thing, that there is plenty of roles for somebody fully able-bodied. Somebody in a wheelchair can only play a wheelchair role.
No, absolutely.
We can have this conversation till the cows come home, but it's not, none of our opinion matters because it's not.
Well, except we're talking about black people in white films.
Well, yes, sorry.
And all that.
Yes, of course. So your
happy to
opinion
have the
matters.
conversation. You never have to apologise, I promise.
So,
about
thank you,
this
that
kind
means
of
a lot.
talk.
It's a whole new world, Daley.
That's what they say.
Met Tom Jones once. NTA's was on the red carpet, and I stepped backwards and I stood on his feet, looked up, and it were him, and he went, whoa! Whoa, whoa! Yeah, he wasn't best pleased.
She worked at EastEnders until she was in her 90s.
I can't believe it, babe. She
She's
was a
amazing.
legend.
Bill Roach now's 93.
Who's that?
Ken.
Oh, Ken Oh, yeah.
Not Ken Roach. Not Ken Roach.
No, but Ken. Ken.
93.
How long's he been in it then?
65 years.
Whoa. 93.
While I've been in here, he could be dead.
Jesus Christ.
Sure you find out.
No, why would I find out?
You've been working with him for 25 years.
Yeah, that don't matter. Well, I've known him 25 years. He still calls me David. Really? Yeah. Well, off. Yeah, he calls me David.
Stop it.
Sees me in the corridor and I go, morning, Bill. And he goes, David.
Stop it.
That's quite funny.
Hello, kid.
Well, he is 93.
Yeah, of course he does.
That's genius.
Never have I ever had like a near-death experience.
Go on, Patsy.
I was at Ronnie Wood's house from the Rolling Stones, and he was having a party. 1 minute I'm standing there, and the next thing I just felt like a concrete slab fell down from the sky and completely knocked me out. The next thing I know, I wake up in the kitchen. It was just so surreal. There was like all like kids of the Rolling Stones like sitting in the kitchen eating beans on toast, and I'm like literally covered in blood. All my teeth smashed into my lip. I'd been kicked in the face by a pole dancer.
Oh, God.
I swear to God.
Hurrah! I've met Brian May quite a few times.
Oh, my king. What's he like?
Lovely. And I went to the Freddie Mercury tribute concert in 1991.
The one that everybody did.
Yeah, exactly. And I went backstage and I met Freddie's mum,
Oh, my
George
God.
Michael, and who else did I meet there?
I mean, everybody was there.
Yeah, it was just like, yeah.
And honestly, like,
And I was
some
really
of the
big at that
covers
point.
that happened there are better than the songs.
Yeah, like I Won't Let the Sun Go Down on Me,
Somebody to Love with
Yeah.
Elton doing it. Oh,
amazing.
that and Live Aid are two things that I think would just be
Yeah,
so surreal to have been at.
yeah,
I think it would have been so fun to be a rock star back in that day and age.
yeah. I almost was.
There's this place in LA called Center Staging, and everyone rehearses at Center Staging. Literally at once, it was Miley, me, Gaga, Bieber, Kanye.
Hang on 1 second. Why is she looking like this?
I get Elton John's Christmas card every year. That's a cool one.
What?
Yeah. I met Elton a few years ago, and ever since then, I've been on his Christmas card list, and it's really cute. It's him and his husband and the kids, and it's just like, it's like the most normal holiday Christmas card you would ever imagine. But yeah, it's my favorite when December rolls around and you get a Christmas card from Elton John. Hello. That's about as cool as I can go. There's not a bigger flex than that.
I had a sleepover with Joanne Lumley once.
Did you?
And my boyfriend didn't know who she was. And he sat next to her for dinner. He was like, will you pass some bread, love? I was like,
She is an
like
icon.
who?
She's an
She
icon.
was everything and more. I've met her a couple of times. I met her at a corporate I did where we were in these big fancy dressing rooms and they knocked on the door and said, oh, the guest speakers asked if they can share your room. I know you can say no, but she just doesn't want to be on her own next door. And I said, oh, we've got a drag queen in here. And she said, oh, put me with the drag queen. I said, oh, that. Who is it? And they went, Joanne Lumley. I went, absolutely.
My dad, back in early 70s, was working on the grounds in the studio. John had just sold the place to Ringo, moved to New York. Dad came to work and there was a piano on the grass outside. Of course. And he was like, weird. And he came and he asked the engineer, what's with the piano? And he said, oh, it was John's and Ringo doesn't want it, so he just put it out there, you know. Dad was like, gone. And he went off and he got a transit van, a bunch of mates, backed it up onto the lawn of Tittenhurst Park, put the piano in the back, drove it home to us, and that's the piano I learned to play on. That's it. That's the
Good
story.
story. Yeah.